You're free now. Free to stream beyond your wildest dreams. Free to be everything you imagine, and then some. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber. Your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability. Service in select locations only.
Do you love the Tabernacle Choir? This year, the choir's music is everywhere you are. Listen to your favorite choir songs and music and the spoken word anytime you want on Alexa by simply enabling the skill.
Alexa, play music in the spoken word.
Now playing music in the spoken word.
You can also download the Tabernacle Choir app, subscribe to the choir on YouTube, listen on Spotify, and have access to all their wonderful music. Happy listening.
Welcome to the KSL Home Show. Brought to you by Osmond Designs. We open the doors for local home buyers and sellers with a fast-moving show about Utah real estate and home design. Here's Heather Osmond and Lindsay Ertz on KSL News Radio 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Welcome on into the Home Show today. Thank you for joining us. I'm about to sit back, relax, and just enjoy the next hour because he's over here stretching. Can guarantee my guest today won't take a breath, and we'll just talk for the entire hour, which is so fun. Heather Osmond, of course, with me of Osmond Designs, and your guest today, Armstrong and Flinders.
Oh my gosh,
They're
we got to singing our jingle now.
Right?
We've got a jingle.
I know.
It's really taking off, right?
Lindsay, so good to see you. This is always a fun show when Drew Armstrong and Mathew Flinders join us here on the KSL Home Show. Today is not going to disappoint. I will already tell you that. We've already been sitting here for probably a half hour just laughing and laughing and laughing. So
Dragging us out of bed way early.
It's going to be a great show. Okay, let's talk about all things real estate. You know, nationally, things are hot in Utah. I feel like they're even hotter, but have things slowed down with interest rates going up?
Not at all. It's in a weird way, it's actually sped up because I think that people are afraid that the rates are going to go even higher here.
Well, they are, right? Because the Fed has said 4 more times this year, and so
so they're trying to beat the rush. But at the same time, we got to remember that Utah is a different demographic. I mean, we are the youngest state in the country by 5 years. 5 years younger than the next closest state. And so our demographic is really different than everybody else's. And while the idea behind interest rates going up a bit is to slow things down, and they need to do that because if they can slow them down a little bit, we're having a lot of inflation, and if they can slow it down a little bit, that keeps our economy from overheating, and it gives them more room to stimulate the market again by lowering the rates if things slow down too much, and they can't do that if they don't have any room. But the issue that we're seeing is that when the rates have gone up a little bit, and they have, I mean, I think last Monday I was quoted a 4.375% for a conventional 30-year. That's going to change. But, that's up a bit. But at the same time, so far this year, we have not sold a house for less than asking price. Matthew just sold one for $127,000 over an appraisal that was done 2 weeks ago.
Matthew, you're a rock star. That's incredible.
It took a lot of time. It did. Probably sometimes people don't realize how much time that takes to bring everybody along, all the different offers along. There was a bunch of open houses that we held, and then Matthew is so careful to talk to each buyer who needs to talk to him and to each of the agents and answer all their questions. He was probably on the phone for 30 hours to get that, and slowly moved it up and up and up and up, and has lots of non-refundable earnest money and, inspections waived and appraisal waived and everything to get to that point where the sellers are very confident that it is going to sell and it is going to close with these guys who offer. I mean, that was a perfect house. It was beautiful.
Wow.
That makes a huge difference. We've had you come with your crew. Right. Lots of times.
Can we
that
talk
makes
about that
difference.
house? We just had Heather come over with her squad, with your crew. What do you call
my
them?
team,
with
my
your team,
dream team.
With your dream team, you come walking in. You looked great, by the way.
Thank you.
And then you're standing there, and like a couple of hours later, you've got all the pictures on the wall and all the furniture. And we sold that house. Well, that's a different house, but we sold that for way more than we should have.
Yes, we did. And there's that emotional factor, right? We talk about, there's appraisals and there's stats and things that you can look up online that'll get you close to the value, but there's something about the sight, the smell, like you were just saying, the home is beautiful, it's well taken care of. It does get a higher value.
We did. And this is a family. They built this house. And then they're moving out of the country all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, hey, let's get Heather Osmond over here to stage it. Well, how much does that cost? I'm telling you, you're going to make your money back.
And more.
And more. And so then, and she comes over and staged it, and the people bought it, and they
bought all the furniture. They loved it.
Furniture
they didn't want anything to leave.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And it's funny because people presume that this is going to be really expensive, but even just with a regular house, we oftentimes will suggest, hey, have one of Heather's designers come over. It's like $85 an hour, and in 2 hours,
giving away one of our trade secrets. I feel like that's one of the things we do that not everybody does.
Yeah, that's true. But the thing is 2 hours later, using mostly their own stuff that they've already got. Their house
going
looks
over
different.
there to the store
That's
and getting
true.
a couple of the pieces.
Supplement,
and we're like, look, you're buying your furniture for the next house anyway.
Right.
And making money.
Right.
Anyway.
Just use it to make this one feel more updated and comfortable for the buyers, and it makes a huge difference.
So all of you people out there who are thinking of selling your house, call up Heather Osmond's store and then get one of her designers to come over. Or if you want Heather herself, call me.
There you go. I'll answer Drew and Matthew's phone numbers.
I've got some pull.
So, Drew, I'm kind of curious about this, kind of circling back to what you were talking about with interest rates going up and kind of the rush. Is there a rush right now? What's your advice to Utahns out there? Do we have to hurry and buy a house now?
There is. It's crazy, but people are trying to get in with the interest rate that is presently available. Like a 4.3 is a lot better than a 5.3, right? And so they're looking harder, and I mean, we're getting 7 to 14 offers on a house, and I mean that takes some management to go through those and figure out who's going to stick in, who's going to stay, and who's not going to cancel a couple weeks down the road where they panic bought and they agreed to something that they weren't really ready for because they're caught up in the hunt and everything. And so it is a different market. And I mean, Matthew got, let's see, in the last 11 days, he wrote for buyers 4 offers, and he got 3 out of the 4 offers accepted. When there's normally 7 to 14 offers that people are competing with.
Go, Matthew.
How in the world
Go,
do you
Matthew.
do that?
It was a good weekend. That's why I'm so tired.
That was a good weekend. You're exhausted.
But that's really important that people understand that if you, a lot of times you can look for what the motivation is of the seller. And Matthew's really good at getting on the phone and having a conversation with the agent and asking enough questions about what people are looking for and what's important to them about the sale, because it's not always money.
It isn't.
So, you find out, well, these guys have, we did one recently where we found out that the family that was selling the house had an Ivory home that they had under contract. And so Ivory comes to them and says, okay, you notice of substantial completion. It's time to close within 2 weeks. And they go to the buyer that they found themselves and say, okay, friends, it's time for you to close. And they're like, oh, about that? Yeah, we couldn't get approved.
We changed our mind. Oh, my gosh.
And they already had an offer that was $27,000 over the asking price. And our buyer got it for exactly what it was listed for. And the reason that they did is because we enabled them to close the next Wednesday.
Wow.
And because they could close the next Wednesday, they ignored the rest of the offers. They had all these other offers, and they're like, nope, that's the one that will make it, because they couldn't even afford the new Ivory home. It went up by more than $100,000 while it was under construction. They couldn't afford the house that they were under contract with, and if they had missed that, then they would have had to start over and not been able to build as much house. And so that offer that was at that point, it was $27,000 under the top offer that was on the table. but they took ours instead of the other ones because their motivation was get this thing closed fast.
And they were smart. They needed a solid deal. Time is money, and they didn't want to leave the $100,000 worth of equity on the table.
Right.
So good on them.
Actually had a man I did a story about on the air say he got a house in this crazy market because someone saw his story on KSL.
What do you know?
And it was a story about this man who needed like a wheelchair ramp and, some of these ADA accessible things in the house and a bathtub that could accommodate him. And he was able to get this house because someone saw the story.
It's interesting. Sometimes it's personal relationships with the other. That one was Christine.
Yeah.
So our friend Christine, who we've known for 20 years, was the listing agent, and I knew, I could read the remarks, and I'm like, Christine, I can tell something's going on here, and it's really urgent. What's going on? And she tells me, and I'm like, oh, we can solve that problem. And so it wasn't money. It was closing it fast. And Matthew was so good at pulling that out of, well, I guess we're both pretty good at pulling that out of the other agents and finding out what their motivation is, and it's not always money.
Well, and I think everyone has a story, and if you've ever moved, it's miserable. It's horrible. You never want to do it again, and so if you can eliminate someone having to move twice, that is worth tens of thousands of dollars. Just the pain and suffering and the mental and emotional distress, I think, for a lot of people, it is hard.
We sold a psychology professor's house, and she said it was the third most stressful thing. She said death, divorce, and then moving.
And
some people do 2, and every once in a while 3 of those in the same time.
Oh, it's brutal.
3 would be, I don't know how you do that.
Death, divorce, and move. Well, I guess
it's
you
usually
do that,
a murder.
A murder, okay.
And then, not buying that house. Drew Armstrong, Mathew Flinders, Armstrong and Flinders. You can look them up. Tell us your website.
It's UtahRealestate.net.
Armstrong and Flinders.
That's our made-up jingle. Right, Armstrong and Flinders. UtahRealestate.net. We'll take a break. More on the Home Show with Heather Osmond in just a minute.
It's the KSL Home Show, sponsored by Osmond Designs. If you like talking about Utah homes and real estate, then this is the place on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back into the Home Show today. Thank you for joining us here with Heather Osmond, who owns Osmond Designs in Lehi and in Orem. And you've got the triple whammy here with us, Heather. 2 guys who can sell your house. You can come in and design it, and then nobody has to lift a finger.
It's just magic. Let's be honest. As an interior designer at Osmond Designs, I have so much fun. I get to work with lots of people that are buying homes. I get to work with lots of people that are selling homes. Drew Armstrong and Mathew Flinders are actually lifelong friends of mine. I started in the real estate industry.
That's right.
How many years ago, you guys? 28 years ago?
That.
Yeah, 27. I don't know. Somewhere in there. I've known you for a long, long time. And really, real estate is your life. You guys are still in the industry. Tell us what you've been working on just this week. We were just talking about this great story.
What are we selling? Right.
I know.
What are we selling?
Well, we got a call on Friday last week, and a family that we'd met with before, and we told them, look, this is what you need to do to get the house fixed up and stuff. And they said, okay, we're ready. And so we said, well,
they called us on Friday and said, okay, we're ready for pictures.
So we said, can you schedule us for tomorrow morning? And we got there.
Drew got there early. What time did you get there?
How quick can you clean your house, right?
No,
are you ready for us?
They moved out.
That's
and
awesome.
so they repainted, recarpeted, and everything. And so
they were ready.
It's
it
beautiful.
Needed it. It would have sold for so much less if they didn't get all that stuff done.
But I mean, blue hour pictures are really important. And sometimes there's 2 blue hours every day. One's in the evening and one's in the morning. And so we needed to go over there and get sunrise. And so we were there
Drew's
at 6.
Dedicated. He's a professional photographer. If you want to see his pictures, go to drewarmstrong.com. You'll be amazed.
Seriously, the best of the best, Drew.
The one that you took in New York on the last thing, that you are sending to people. I think that's a
so
poster
cool.
for the wall.
Yeah, it's nice.
But I digress. So you were there at 6.
I was there at 6,
time
and
did I get there?
you got there at 7 because you're lazy.
No,
On a Saturday morning?
I do the 3D tours.
Yeah,
so I
Matthew
walk around with the 3D tour camera and do all the 3D tour cameras. Drew's out there with a drone. He's a licensed drone pilot.
Right.
So he can even fly.
So we get the
where other
pink
people-
skies
Right.
and blue and pink clouds and
And you don't pay any
everything.
extra for this. This is just
Oh,
part
no,
of
that's
your
just-
services.
That's just how you do. But see, that's the
And
thing.
people ask us, well, why are you guys taking the pictures? And we say, well, could you imagine us trying to call the companies that do these things and schedule it that fast?
Right.
It's not going to
It's
happen.
not gonna happen.
Yeah, so it's on Friday afternoon, and you're like, hey, we would like you to be out at 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow.
We
They
were the
would
ones
laugh.
who offered. They would have let us take 10 more days, but we didn't. That time
so
is money. We
It's
were
up
ready.
for so this house is really cool. It's up for what the appraisal's at, and we've had a couple of open houses that have been really successful so far.
We had it listed by Saturday afternoon.
and
We did an open house on Sunday,
It's 5 acres
Monday,
in
and
Lake
Tuesday.
Shore. And with a house that's all been remodeled, it's really cool. It's beautiful out there. You have mountain views. You can see the lake from the house. I mean, it's pretty cool.
It's 10 minutes off the freeway. So if anyone listening wants to live in a rural area, 10 minutes from the freeway,
Fully remodeled.
fully
Springville.
remodeled from Springville, you can do it. It has an artesian well in the front yard where water.
Artesian?
What's it called?
It's a surface well.
A surface well where water bubbles.
Artesian sounds cooler, though.
Well, they have
Way better than
they have just a free flowing well.
I
Yeah,
haven't
that's
slept
cool.
much lately, but anyway, the hose comes off the well, free flowing water all the time.
Right.
That they use,
and it's never dried
You've
up.
got that well, then you've got the 300-foot deep well.
Right,
That's
for,
included.
for the culinary water.
Sounds dreamy.
It's so quiet out there.
Yeah.
And
There's
and
a
it's
lot
just,
of cows mooing.
Well, there's some cows mooing, right? And there's huge garden areas and a big barn and chicken coops and all those dreamy things. I know someone listening right now is like, "Oh, someday."
I want that. Yes.
Make today now.
That's
Go
incredible.
Go to UtahRealEstate.net. Call
Go
us.
check it out.
and
Well,
we'll give
I
you
have
a
a
tour
question.
right
You
now.
guys were
Or
talking-
Send you the 3D tour.
You
What?
guys were talking last segment about how it's oftentimes not about the money that gets you the sale. It's about what is the need of the seller and the buyer. Why isn't every real estate agent out there doing this?
Well, a lot of times it's personal relationships as well, and we know most of the realtors that are really good, and they know us, and so I think that makes some of the difference.
Drew asks lots of questions. Like if you call Drew and you say, "I'm looking for a house," I mean, be ready to really think it through with him because he's going to ask a lot of questions. Really find out what your motivation is, what you're trying to accomplish. Then we're helping people realize exactly what we know their house will sell for, so what they know they can net.
And I think
then-
that's important for people when they're picking a real estate agent, right?
Right.
To somebody
Yeah.
who's this thorough.
Right.
Well, and I think when you are an experienced real estate agent, you know the other agents that are also experienced real estate agents. So when they bring you a buyer, you know they're vetted because you guys are not wasting your time with people that are not serious buyers. They're
Right.
already pre-qualified. They've already gone through Drew's ringer of questions and Matthew's, right? And so you know that you're not wasting your time. You're not wasting other people's time, and your offers are going to go through.
Well, we know what the concerns are for the other agent. We know what they're looking for and what problems that they've had in the past with other transactions. And so we're like, okay, and we make sure that our buyers are willing to do what they need to do to get the house.
To move quickly.
And understand what they're up against. And if they trust us, which they usually do, then we have our buyers very prepared before they go into a negotiation so they know what to expect. They know what they're willing to do. They know what the other people are looking at as far as the other offers are. And it makes a difference because our offer meets the terms and the concerns that the other agent is going to have. And because we've been on both sides for so many years, we know what they're worried about, and we can address those things in a different way than others might.
When Drew is presenting an offer, he can make promises to a listing agent that he can keep, and that is so valuable to them when they're telling a seller, here's these offers on the table. This one right here, this will work, and they know it will work.
And you guys
because
are
we got a track record of it.
And you guys even use your own funds at times to
We
help
don't want
buyers.
to tell everybody that.
That's incredible. To
Can I get a down payment real quick?
I know. Just lend us some money, and then we promise we'll pay you back. But it actually does work.
No, I think we bought 11 houses last year for clients where we actually bought it and then they bought it from us. But that's just one of the tools in the toolbox. But it's important that you ask enough questions that people trust that you're going to be able to. I mean, Matthew tells them, here, call this last agent, call these two that we just closed that we worked with on the other end, and you look at what kind of experience they had with us, and they do. The agents call them and
text them, and they do.
You guys are doing so great. We have Drew Armstrong, Mathew Flinders. Stay tuned. We'll be right.
Osmond.
And Heather Osmond, owner of Osmond Designs, here on the KSL Home Show today. And Lindsay.
I just talked for a living.
She's incredible. We love Lindsay over here. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the KSL Home Show. Brought to you by Osmond Designs. We open the doors for local home buyers and sellers with a fast-moving show about Utah real estate and home design. Here's Heather Osmond and Lindsay Ertz on KSL News Radio 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Welcome back into the Home Show today. Thank you for joining us. If you are just joining us, I'm Lindsay Artz here with Heather Osmond, who owns Osmond Designs in Lehigh and in Orem. You can go podcast this episode wherever you podcast. Just search for the KSL Home Show. You'll find us there. And I highly recommend it because you'll just laugh. You'll just laugh through this whole episode.
You know, we're having way too much fun. If you've heard our show before, if you've listened to the Home Show before, you're probably familiar with Drew Armstrong and Mathew Flinders. They
Armstrong and Flinders.
Yes, two of the
At UtahRealEstate.net.
Wow.
Just making up jingles.
Drew and Matthew are two of the best real estate agents in all of Utah, and obviously lifelong friends of mine. We've known
you're
each
our
other.
Favorite designer.
You're
of
so
all the
nice.
designers we've ever worked with, which we actually haven't really.
We don't need them.
Anyone else?
Just does
That's like telling my 7-year-old, who's my only daughter, you're my favorite daughter.
You're my favorite.
That's what you
so
just
nice.
said.
But have you been to the Parade of Homes and like noticed the ones that are the most awesome? We have. They're Heather's.
It's
Heather
not
designs them.
It's not just the ones that are most awesome. It's almost all of them.
It's almost all.
We stay busy. We have a team.
But
thankfully,
that's because it was like unfair that all of the ones Heather was doing were getting all this attention, and so then the other guys were like, well, I guess we got to do that.
We got to hire her. Absolutely.
So,
you know, we have so much fun doing staging. I used to do real estate with you guys 27 years ago, and you guys continue to do it. You're just killing it in the market. I branched off into the interior design world and have loved every minute of it. But
which we were grateful for, because then we could
it's
call
a
you
win-win.
up, and I can't decorate. Like I walk into a house, I'm like, I don't know, but here, call Heather.
I know, and I
then you
love
would come
giving
over.
you guys clients too. It's a win-win.
It's true.
So
Thanks
let's
for
talk
the one
a-
yesterday, by the way.
You're very welcome. Yes, happy to do it. It's easy for me to refer people to you guys because you do such a great job. There are so
Same.
many things that you include in your services that a lot of other real estate agents don't do, including, waking up at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., coming to their home, doing drone
Drew's weird.
footage.
He's just dedicated.
You guys
I
are
wouldn't
just
get up at 6,
awesome.
but Drew will.
He totally. No, that's
Matthew
like up
waited
at
till
like
7.
4:30. Yeah, to get there. But you guys are busy. Real estate is your life. What's
We are
going on
busy.
this week?
Well, we're going from here right after we do the show. We're listing a house in Sugar House.
And then we've got another one right after that we've got to go and take a look at, make sure it's all ready. That's in Daybreak.
Mm-hmm.
So both of those will probably be sold in a few hours today.
We take a few days. We really
Just
we
a
slow it down, and we let a lot of people come through.
Mm-hmm.
I think we get twice as many offers as other people do. We talk to a lot more people, put in a lot more effort.
We make sure we don't. I mean, a lot of times people are like, "Oh, just take our offer. It's the first one in." And I mean, Matthew got one this past weekend with the house we were selling, where the first offer was really good. but they were like, we've got a house that we have under contract and our earnest money's going hard, and it's a new construction, and we'd rather get one that's built because interest rates, we don't know what they're going to be when this one's finished, and so please just accept ours because we don't want to lose our earnest money. And it
was actually an awesome offer. I bet some other agents might have accepted it, but I showed the seller and I said, I think we can get better than this, and we sure did.
And it's not that much more to us, and we would have avoided about 8 hours of open houses by just accepting that one that's way over asking price. But
at least 20 more hours on the phone.
Yeah, but that's not who we are, and so we went ahead and did all the open houses. When we represent that we're going to have an open house, people make plans to be there, the one that's on Sunday afternoon or whenever it is. And if you cancel, that's not cool. That's not fair, and it's not good for our seller because somebody didn't get to see it that planned on seeing it. Who knows? Maybe that's the one that will offer $127,000 over the asking price.
Which you just recently did.
Yeah, over appraisal.
Over a 2-week-old appraisal. But you're busy, too. How's your new building going?
We are slammed. We talk a lot about residential here on the show, but we also are really involved with commercial. I know you guys are. Yeah. I know we are as well. We're actually working on a lot of commercial projects that we're very excited about, one being an attorney's office up in Salt Lake City. It is huge. It's the entire 5th floor of a building, and it is it's absolutely outdated. I say that politically correct. It's a very Tuscan old world. Back in the day, it was amazing, and it just needs an overhaul. So we've been working hard to get painters and new flooring in, and oh my word, it is incredible. I am just absolutely thrilled. They actually have around 70 attorneys that work in that office, and so it's been juggling employees around, but it's a lot of fun. And then, personally, I'm building a new Osmond design store in the Lehigh Traverse area.
How's that going?
Which could be an episode all by itself, because there's a lot of architectural plans and meetings and all of those things just in the conception and the design of the building. But currently, we are at the engineers, and it's currently at the city. It was just this last week, went through planning commission with flying colors. And so we are on track to get that going as quick as possible as well.
All that city stuff is difficult. And there's even new laws on the books that passed, not this past session, but last year, that give a city a certain amount of time that they have to get it done, or the developer can actually circumvent the city and go get their own plan review done.
Wow. And
so there's some contractor listening to the show this morning like, wait, what?
What? Repeat?
How do I do that? Okay,
Drew, you know a lot about this because you actually have served on planning commission in some of those city.
Drew's been a city planning commission chair and a county commission planning chair.
Yeah, I've worked on those for a long time. My favorite thing about those is going to the APA conferences. And so you get to go and learn all the latest trends in planning and what's going on as far as, what's becoming popular as far as like what people's expectations are and how they want to live and how they want to use different spaces and what the demographics demands are doing as far as changing what types of uses are more popular or more what kind of need there is today versus 30 years ago as far as planning goes.
We just had a city that we work with, and they posted because they're going to do a meeting for get public input for
in a couple of nights.
And
for the general plan.
All these people who are saying, hey, let's not do any more construction until we solve this problem, or we don't want any more building in our city. And I'm thinking, you've got, what about all these people who, the family is going to sell their land and they want to develop it and
right. They've owned the farm for 30 years and mom and dad are going or close
getting
or
old,
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, we had one recently where grandma and grandpa are getting divorced and an attorney called me up that we work with. We work with a lot of attorneys that refer us. And the attorney was like, actually went to the other attorney and said, that appraisal seems really low. And finally, you've got something in a divorce where both of them are like, yeah, it's low. And so they're both kind of on the same team, even in the divorce. And he called me up and he's like, could you come double check this? And it took a while because we had to go through the zone change, but I carried them through that zone change.
Drew went into the city, did the zoning changes, made all the things, got it all ready.
Tripled.
Yep. You know it.
Tripled.
Yeah.
Tripled because the appraiser's looking at it and he's going, okay, as a little old hobby farm with that crappy old 45. Well, no, they don't.
You can't say crap. This is the radio.
It was it was an 80-year-old.
Okay. Yeah.
An 80-year-old house on there that's not worth much. The appraiser's like, it's worth this as a little farm. And I'm like,
it's worth more being torn down and the development property.
Exactly. I'm like, that's the current use.
Yeah.
The 9 acres, if we change the zoning, and we're right on the edge to where that can happen, is going to dramatically change the value to a developer. If you're selling it to somebody that's going to grow watermelons, that's different. And so we went in. It took us a while. I earned my money on that one for sure, but it took us a while. But we didn't just raise it by 30%. We tripled the value of that land. Tripled.
No doubt about it. And a lot of times that's actually zoned commercial or high density residential, or even if it is just residential, if grandma and grandpa sell that land, a developer's just going to come in and do exactly what you just did, get it all paper lotted, and they'll sell that off.
People will have us come and talk to them, and they can see a big difference. Drew walks in, he knows how to read what the code says and what we can do, and then it takes us some time to go, and we spend a lot of time seeing what we can do, and then going back to those owners and helping them get it sold for top dollar.
Well, I mean, the first time I changed a zoning ordinance, I was 23 years old. And so I'm familiar with how zoning code works and ordinances work and how all that. I mean, I've been doing that for a long time. My dad was on a planning commission, right? So I could go to dad and say, okay, how do I do this? And what do I do with this? And so the first time I did that, I was 23. I'm over 50 now. Let me put it that way.
You could say that.
I got to go get my booster.
Be proud
shot,
of that.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is that if most realtors, that's not a strong suit. Mm-hmm. That's not something that they've been really experienced with or worked on. And there are some that do, and that's invaluable in the right circumstance.
100%.
So if you're thinking of selling some land, email Drew at utahrealestate.net. And
I love that.
Tell him about it and see what he has to say about it.
Go check it out. Yeah. One of the first development projects my husband and I ever did is we found a really old trashed home. I hope I can say that. It was trash. It was very trash. Drew's been there. And it was on a large development lot.
We've known you for a long time.
We have. You guys saw us. I think that my parents actually walked in and thought, you can't live here. This is not okay. We're going to intervene.
Right.
But we painted it, we recarpeted, and we made it great. But the reason we bought this crappy trashed house, I probably shouldn't say that.
It was.
The reason we bought
it's fine.
The reason we bought this older home that needed so much work is because it sat on that large lot, and we knew that we could get a duplex in the back. So we went through all the zoning that Drew and Matthew are talking about right here, and we ended up getting a 4-plex lot on it. So we did 4 townhouse condos. We walked out of that city development meeting and we thought we had just won the lottery because we thought we could only get 2. And when they told us we could get 4, that's substantially increased the value. Free property, right? And it was such a blessing. And even as we were just very poor newlyweds, I mean, that was big. That was a big deal to us.
Huge.
And so
life-changing.
So if you're a big developer,
the way that you staged the house and sold the house and all that, see,
just
this is
the
how your career just
stuff.
took off right there. We knew your calling.
It's
right then.
so true. So if you're a big developer, awesome. If you're not, there are ways that you can get in the market and still make money.
Right. And I guess what we're talking about is, see, you came in, you were the one who saw that, and you made the profit on it. We help the owner. Yeah. So it's somebody with the land that calls us up and says, what can we do? We help them realize that and then sell it that way so they actually make the profit.
Yeah, and you can represent a buyer that can also be looking for those opportunities.
Yep, right.
Absolutely. Yep. If you're just joining us, we have Drew Armstrong, Mathew Flinders.
And Heather Osmond.
I'm the owner of Osmond Designs Furniture and Interior Design Stores. We're talking about everything real estate related, buying, selling, staging your home so that you can get the max amount of money out of your property in the shortest amount of time. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
It's the KSL Home Show, sponsored by Osmond Designs. If you like talking about Utah homes and real estate, then this is the place on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back into the Home Show today. Thank you for joining us. Here with Heather Osmond, who owns Osmond Designs in Lehigh and in Orem. And Heather, it sounds like you have this.
No jingle.
Not yet.
Osmond
Not yet.
Designs, Armstrong and Flinders. Jingles on the spot here at KSL.
Oh, we're having too much fun today.
UtahRealEstate.net. It sounds like you have a problem I have when it comes to furniture. I have this problem with clothes. I don't get rid of anything, and I just buy more. And I'm like, I have a closet full of clothes and nothing to wear, but
Just keep buying more.
more clothes.
Where are you going? You were saying during the break. You're going to, what's it called?
So I'm going to High Point, North Carolina for Furniture Market this week.
Furniture Market.
So excited, right? It's where all of the vendors and suppliers from all over the world bring their products, their new intros to High Point, North Carolina. They put them in these buildings and we get to shop. It's like shopping at the mall, but it's all furniture.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like a kid in a candy store. I really can't help myself. It is too much fun. A lot of these new products that they're showing won't even be shipping for 6 months. That's like a normal lead time.
Wow.
But with what's going on with the supply industry, a lot of it's a year out, a year and a half out that I'm buying for.
Well, you
so
have
you're
plenty.
picking
I mean,
the stuff for the parade homes for next year?
For next year and the following year, probably.
So is the stuff that you were
Like,
just
for
saying
reals.
is coming right now, that's for this year?
You guys, so this week, we just brought in 4 brand new containers that we just filled full of furniture. My poor warehouse guys, I'm so sorry, Noah and Ty. We just keep bringing in more and more and more. But again, we're prepping for the parade. And a lot of that furniture is actually already sold. And so we're storing things for customers that are building homes, and there's delays, with what they're doing, which affects us. So we really should just be a storage unit company. I think it's turning into that a little bit. But
so Noah and Ty are hoping that you're going to get sick and
I know.
miss furniture
Miss the
mart.
flight.
Yeah,
I know.
something.
I'm sure they're horrified. Like, oh no, she's going again to buy
10
more
more containers.
stuff. We need a bigger parking lot. I think we'll just start filling up all the spaces with containers full of furniture.
Going to be all done by then, maybe, and then you'll be able to move it in.
It can
We
deliver it to there.
just need more space, right? Which is part of the reason that we're building that brand new store. We're super excited about it. But a lot of the furniture, like we're saying, will go into this year's parade homes. So we have Utah Valley coming up. We have Salt Lake coming up. We have Park City. We actually have already started on 2023 parade homes.
Oh my gosh.
As crazy as that sounds. But it's such an exciting time to be in real estate. It's so much fun to be in the interior design business currently, because not only are people building homes, but they're remodeling homes, and people are more home focused than they've ever been, which I, of course, love.
So when you came over and you staged that home for us,
Yeah.
and you brought all the new furniture in, and then the buyer bought it that way.
They did.
Do you have, can you do that right now? Like, if somebody listening is like, hey, I want to get rid of all my furniture, new house right now, can they do that?
So this is the best part. We have 2 stores. They both have over 22,000 square feet on them. And we have a 10,000 square foot warehouse. Plus, we have now 14 containers full of furniture. So if you need furniture, we have it in stock. And what's crazy is people are coming with trucks and trailers and filling them up and taking them, which is why I'm trying to stay ahead of all that buying so that we have product to sell. Because at some point, there may be, delays that we're not anticipating. And we have it in stock. You can get it. And I think that's the name of the game right now is no one wants to wait a year and a half for their sofa. Once you decide you want a sofa, you want it today.
Right. We just sold a house for somebody who works for Bullfrog Spas. I said, do you get a discount? He's like, yeah, but I would like the owner to leave that one because I can't get it for like 8 months or something like that.
And he works there.
Wow.
Right? So it's one of those things. But the other thing that's cool is I know that one time we bought a new couch from you, And it had been in a parade home. And so it was really cool because usually a lot of times they buy all this stuff, but sometimes they don't. And sometimes, you watch for post-parade home deals because they come and they're nice.
We do. We have some great sales, and it's brand new furniture. It's been on display for 2 weeks. We also have great relationships and contracts with some of these furniture vendors. So when they show all of their furniture at High Point Market or Las Vegas Market or wherever that is, we go in with semis and we pick up all of their showroom displays. We get the good, the bad, the ugly, everything included with that, but they don't want to wrap it back up and ship it back to wherever. So, a lot of this stuff, if you see it, buy it because it won't be there tomorrow. I love having you guys on. This has been such a fun hour. Drew Armstrong, Mathew Flinders. You're listening to the KSL Home Show. We talk about anything residential, commercial real estate. It's a great time to be in the Utah market. If you're not in the market, get in. Call Drew and Matthew. How do they find you?
UtahRealestate.net.
UtahRealestate.net.
Right. UtahRealestate.com is the...
Yeah, .com is the public access to the multiple listing service. And, I was such a young techie guy when I got in 96 that we bought .net. So... we bought .org, we bought
Drew
everything.
Was in
we
Newsweek because he was like the first guy with digital photography and all this stuff. He's been on the bleeding edge of real estate.
You guys are the best of the best in Utah. Thanks again.